everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome back to our vegetable garden. Now today I'm not going to be in the vegetable garden very much because I'm going to do an exciting project with you. But I wanted to point something out. So we have a large vegetable garden. Bill and I are nuts about using raised beds and growing as much food as we possibly can. I do realize that a lot of you have a small garden or maybe no garden space at all. So let's say you live in a condominium or in an apartment and you've got a balcony or maybe some little patio area. Well, I've got a great solution for you, and that is the GreenStalk Vertical Planter. That's what I'm going to be planting up today, and they now come out with an automatic watering system, so I'm excited to try that out and to show you how it works. Today I'm going to be assembling a 5-tier GreenStalk Vertical Planter. It's their original design, and it's in stone color, and they have 30 pockets that you plant into. So let's get started. The first thing I did is I assembled the mover base, which I heartily recommend. It's really easy to assemble. It comes with 6 casters, 3 of which are locking casters. You just snap them into place. And then this is going to be the base that the vertical planter sits on. You can lock the casters so it won't move, and you can unlock them if you want to move it to another area or spin it around a little bit. This is what each of the tiers looks like. And for this model there are 5 tiers altogether, and each of the tiers holds 3/4 of a cubic foot of potting soil. And I recommend using a good quality potting soil because your plants will do really well. The routine is that you fill each individual tier separately with the potting mix. Then you're going to plant each seedling, and right inside these pockets here, right at the edge pointing out. Then you're going to assemble the whole planter together. You'll notice that there are drainage holes in here, and when you see how the whole planter goes together, it's really quite ingenious how the water moves through it from tier to tier. Now it's time for me to plant up each tier, and I'm really excited to show you what I'm growing this year. In the bottom tier, I'm going to plant some epic hybrid eggplants. These are ones that I started from seed earlier this year. Next up is 2 kinds of cherry tomatoes. I have never grown tomatoes in my GreenStalk before, so I'm very excited about that. I started both of these types of cherry tomatoes this year. This one is called yellow patio cherry, and this one is called orange hat. It's a dwarf tomato, so it's going to be quite small. Bill started the peppers for me. These are jalapenos, which is a jalapeno pepper. And this actually is our 3rd year of growing jalapenos in our GreenStalk. And it's just a variety that we've been really happy with. It's very prolific and does great in this planter. In the 4th tier, I'm growing 2 different things. First off is basil, and the other is red-veined sorrel. We have grown the green sorrel before. It has a lovely citrusy taste, and this should be great in salads. The humorous thing is I planted 6 of these from seed, and later read that they do better when they're direct sown. And I have to tell you, these germinated reasonably quickly about 2 months ago, and all of a sudden the other ones are coming up. There's teeny tiny little seedlings here, so I'm not too sure what to do about that. But the basil, I would like to have it a little bit larger than this, but our season is starting earlier than usual, so I'm a little bit behind in planting things like basil. But anyway, I'm going to do 3 of each, and we'll see how that goes. The rest of these basil can go out in the garden. And for the top tier, I'm going to plant a zinnia that is fairly petite. This is going to be Profusion Red Yellow, and I've grown this before. It's a lovely annual. Now for planting seedlings, I just wanted to give you a couple quick tips. So first of all, I'm just gently sliding it out of the pot. And what I want to do is to point the seedling outward. And then I'm going to top off the soil a little bit in a moment once I have everything planted. But the idea is that you want it away from the planter a little bit so that it has plenty of room to grow. I've grown eggplants in the GreenStalk before, and they produce some whoppers. You'll notice I am not pulling them out by their stem because that can damage the tissue, and then that makes it really hard for the plants to transport moisture and nutrients, and that is the last thing you want to have happen. I'll just angle it a little bit. And you'll notice the root system looks really good. I could even tease these bottom roots apart a little bit, but overall it looks good. I'll borrow a little soil from next door here. And I do know that when I water the soil for the first time, everything's going to settle a little bit. So I'm trying to take that into account in case you think this looks like I'm coming up awfully high to the lip of the tier. Now to plant the other 4 tiers. Okay, I've gotten all of the tiers planted, and before I can stack the whole thing together, I need to put a gray disc on top of each of the central openings in each tier. If you look at this closely, at least I hope you can see it, there is a little hole here. So these discs are a part of the watering system. So each of these holes are going to correspond to the center of the planting pockets. And that's because when water comes into the planter at the top, it's going to send the water down tier by tier, pointing the water toward where things are planted. So this is going to go on the bottom 4 tiers of the 5-tier planter. The top tier gets something a little bit different. The first thing I'm going to do is to put the bottom tier on top of the caster system. I probably should have done that first, but as you can see, it goes on really easily. And I'm going to enlist Bill's help for putting the other tiers on top. You know, it's a good idea to have a buddy because these do get a little bit heavy, and it also is easier to adjust them so that they're turned the right way so they all snap together. Oh, there it goes. I felt it snap. Okay. This is the next one. How do you want to do this? Sit on. Of course, we've got a helicopter coming. Yeah. Oops. Yay! The last part that goes on is this water reservoir. And it also has holes that will be pointing to the center of the pockets, and it just snaps on the very top. Okay, there it is. Now you can water the planter by taking a bucket of water and pouring it in the top, and it will slowly go down through all the layers. But I'm very excited to try out this new automated watering system, and I wanted to show you how it works. So here are the parts for the new automatic watering system that GreenStalk came up with. And I have to tell you, one of the things I love about GreenStalk is that they do a great job of putting together very easy to follow instructions. So you'll notice there's a setup guide that comes along with the watering system, and it takes you step by step through how to put it together. The first thing I'm going to do is attach these clips in as close a straight line as I can to the pockets, one pocket on each tier. According to the directions, they said it's okay if it's not completely straight. The next step is to connect the tube to the valve. You need to push it on and then twist it to tighten it. Next, you're going to screw the spout onto the other end of the valve. Next, you're going to connect the open end of the tube to the hose adapter. Now I'm going to take the tube and attach it to the clips that I installed earlier. Then I put the lid on the very top. That's easy. The next thing we're going to do is attach a hose right down there, and we're going to attach the hose to a battery-operated timer. This is going to be so slick. Okay, we've got everything hooked up, and now we're going to test it, and I'm going to adjust the flow of water as needed. I mentioned earlier that it's really easy to follow their instructions, but there are a lot of other reasons that I like GreenStalk. First of all, it's a family-run company, and they are the nicest people to work with. Everything is made in the U.S. The planters are made with food-grade plastic. There are no BPAs or PVCs in it, and they are guaranteed for 5 years. Now, if you buy something from GreenStalk, be sure to use the code Susan at checkout, and you'll get an extra $10 off any purchase over $75. Such a deal. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. I hope you found this really interesting, and I'll see you next week.